Very good. Thank you.
Do you have time for one more? Or?
I think we do.
Oh.
While you're finding it, I want to tell the audience there'll be the opportunity to watch you read something that isn't poetry.
Right, because I also write fiction and I have a very strong sense of northern Minnesota. So this is a favorite woman of mine I've played with in fiction for many, many years that you'll be hearing about. This one, if we have time, is called She Doesn't Get Out of the Airport Much. Like the spinning of a reel, she passes drinks to folks in a hurry, waiting in artificial air. It's nearly a meditation. She pulls me in with a grin born of ranchers and lean cowboys, points out the salt lick, sticky barbecue, country cooking at the airport. My feet hurt, my bags are heavy. She comes with a few beers, dances the two-step to the airport speakers. The live band tunes up, Texas country, smiles all round. Boarding calls and the TSA grow faint. The music comes alive. We could be at home on the front porch. Strangers sit together, their invisibility jackets resting long forgotten on the chair rails.
You made it. We got it in. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. It helps us to learn in a very different sort of setting and different way.
Poetry can be fun. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Becky Liestman, and I'm actually a published poet, but today I'm going to read you from a story that's stayed in my heart for many years, and you know that there are characters you just can't let go of that have pieces of many, many people that you've met in your life and that you love dearly. So this is called Beatrice. It's a selection from Beatrice. So if you could imagine a tar paper shack, and the tar paper itself is blowing in the wind, and it's gusty spring. A solitary elderly woman is as thin as a stick, walking through her bleak farmland that's bordered by jack pines. She has a distinct look of dementia, but what is inside is not what it appears. I like it just fine. I have the wildflowers to look forward to, a pretty sight along the fence line. I'll duck into the woods in the spring to see the trillium white as fluff. Soon there'll be wild strawberries in amongst the poison ivy, but you don't get good for nothing in this life. I'll put on my work gloves and pull up a few rubber bands over Alfred's old trousers, or maybe I'll just pull up his big men's stockings real high. Then I'll go in and get the sweetness. That's what you have to do. Go in and suck the sweetness out of things. I'm good at that. Some days I think I'm as old can be. Maybe not, though. It's just that I dream right into the befores and afters, coming up for air just now and then. Most of the world's in a person's head anyway. Always is and always has been. Why, I can sit right here and conjure up anything I want. No need to go out. Take my husband, Alfred. He was a funny one, tall and skinny as a fly swatter, and he'd talk out loud, lots. I'd rather talk to myself, like now. I figure I'm pretty good company. Not Alfred. He liked the company of others. Nothing tickled him as much as having a few of his friends over, working on a new fence or something, and talking to beat the band. You'd think his teeth would fall out sometimes, just from the shock of all that chattering and clattering, shooting out word after word. That's why I grabbed him, fresh out of a lumber camp. I couldn't get over it. All that talk. Where did it come from? I had to marry him and find out. Never did clear up the mystery, though. After a while, I'd spend my time guessing what he'd say next. I knew him so well. Was right most of the time, too. Didn't amount to much. Loose chatter about the new horse stock Olson got, or there was cutworms in the tomatoes, or the new calf of the Halbertsons came out hard, had to noose it around the feet and give it a good tug. That kind of talk. Oh, Alfred was all right, just wasn't deep. Could throw a penny in him and it hit bottom right away. I missed him a lot at first. Takes a while to get used to any kind of change. Right away, though, I felt free of making so many dinners, so many lunches, so much breakfast. Full meals, too, and every single one of them had to have potatoes. Alfred demanded it. It got so that I was so sick of potatoes I could hardly see straight. No time off for good behavior. A prison sentence, I always thought it was. After Alfred died, I could eat what I wanted when I wanted it. I'd often pop a few kernels of corn, and that'd be it for me. Or chew on a big slice of watermelon in season. Freedom. I do miss his sharp angles in bed. I don't know why. Crisscrossing the thing like an X, and his just being there talking about nothing next to the fire in the evening. He was a good man, Alfred was. Filled space real nice. A good companion. Made a house a home. Now when I lack companionship, I just imagine him right back in his rocking chair by the kitchen fire, and I hear his voice. I already memorized everything he had to say, so I'm apt to play it back, filling in the news of the day. The ice broke through the river today, and it's roaring louder than last year. Better get some more cordwood in, the stack's getting low. Time the mending gets done. I'm careful, though. I never let him comment on my failings. He wouldn't like the walls crowded with dried wildflowers, or a dinner of rice and elderberry jam. I figure it's none of his business. If he passed on to death for a reason, it's so I could make a few choices for myself. None of his worry. I think ghosts should stay where they belong. They had their chance at life, and I get mine, too. Sometimes I go to the creek, the skinny one that meanders all around here, sometimes full, sometimes empty, depending on the season and the rainfall. Just splashing, you know. Splashing the last few bits of rotten ice out away from here. I like to kick at them, those last reminders of winter. It's my kind of spring celebration, a way to string out my legs and break out of my winter skin. I stand there knee-deep in water in my old creek, my very own come-and-go creek, kind of amazed. It feels just glorious. No real sting to it, not like other years. Why, that cold water can bite right through, straight through and out the other side, not stopping till whole minutes after I go back up to the house. Not this time it won't. I've conquered it. Old age, I laugh. Then I holler it in my old lady voice clear across the fields. Old age, old age. I hoot it like a hoot owl. I caw it like an old crow. What a victory. I've outlived the darn cold water I've been fighting all these springtimes. I'm finally immune. Ha! I giggle. It's lost its kick and I didn't. My shoes are delightfully soggy and sloshy there under the water. I lift them one at a time and watch the water drip. First a rush and then a drop, drop, drip. I grab an old branch to steady myself, and then I get a good hold of it. Stick it down in the icy water until it feels the hard winter mud, and then I kick up, smashing the ice into little chunks. So satisfying. My feet flying up above the water, one shoe at a time, the water spraying my old dress and swirling onto the bank, doing a twirl. If anybody says you can't have fun by yourselves, they need their head examined. Look at me, a great big party of one. Maybe I should have a barn dance all by myself to celebrate. I could roast a turkey and lather it with stuffing. I could toast me up some bread and spoon on my one precious jar of chokecherry jelly. The whole thing at once. I could make mountains of popcorn, mountains, and eat it for supper in mixing bowls with milk. I laugh harder and harder. Tears spring from my eyes with hilarity and plop into the creek, adding to the water volume. I start dancing right there, asking the trees to clap their boughs and the squirrels to chatter their surprise. Didn't know I was such a dancer, did they? I swirl around, the water and me, the old branch serving for my man. We're quite a sight, beating out all the dancers I've ever known. We are something. We bow and duck and bend our knees to the music. I croak out and we twirl and we spin. We're fancy. We know how to move. The branches flutter with us, and the old dried leaves that didn't fall last year want to join right in. One by one, they float down to the creek and swirl a swirl behind us. And I'm laughing and singing and dancing, and I laugh so hard I get a little shaky. And I plop right into the creek, right in next to the tears. I'm laughing in the leaves, all in merriment. And I sit there, and I still don't feel the cold. And I'm grinning away, feeling smart and triumphant, the way I do when I get just what I want. So I push away a couple of little ice pieces left floating on the creek, and I say, "Go home now, find your mama." And just like me, those ice pieces ignore any sensible advice. So I get up and we dance and have larks and laugh our way right into spring.